Snapshot 23w42a is here with the first feature for Minecraft 1.21 as announced at Minecraft Live, the Crafter. And that's not all. My name is Slime and I'm here to show you all the changes in this snapshot. Let's start with experimental blocks and items and of course, the Crafter. Before we get that though, we have to turn it on. Just like before the 1.20 update, the features for Minecraft 1.21 are now available in an experimental pack. That means they only exist in worlds that are created with that experiment enabled. Once you have that experiment enabled, the Crafter is a new block crafted from a crafting table, a dropper, 2 redstone dust, and 5 iron ingots. It's directional and places just like you place a dropper with its front face towards you. Once placed, you can break it by hand, but the right tool for the job is a pickaxe. The Crafter is a way to use redstone mechanisms to craft items, just like you'd normally craft them in a crafting table. Interact with the Crafter to look at its contents and set up the crafting grid. You can add items into this crafting grid like for a crafting table, but you cannot take the resulting item out. Instead, when the Crafter receives a redstone pulse, it will drop the crafted item out its front side or move it into another inventory if the Crafter is pointed at another container. Think of it exactly like a dropper. One difference from a dropper is that if the target inventory is full, the item is ejected into the world instead. If the items in the Crafter do not make up a valid crafting recipe, the Crafter fails and does nothing. If there are residual items in the craft, such as for crafting a cake, the remaining items are ejected together with the crafted one. Let's look more at the Crafter interface. You do not have a recipe book here, so you've got to know the recipe you're trying to make. To make some recipes easier, you can also toggle slots on and off in the user interface. Toggling a slot off means it can never contain any item, so items inserted into the Crafter will avoid that slot. The Crafter is also a container that can be interacted with by hoppers and droppers, so you can automatically insert the right items for a craft. When this happens, items will be added in order of priority. First any empty slots starting from the top left and moving down by rows. If there are no empty slots, items will prioritize adding into the smallest stack that will fit. Hoppers can also be used to pull items back out of the ingredients in the Crafter and will then pull them out in the regular order the items would normally be taken out from a chest. Comparators can also be used with Crafters. They will show a signal strength of 1 for each non-empty or toggled slot in the Crafter. That means a full craft with all unused slots toggled off will always have a signal strength of 9. One last difference between the Crafter and the crafting table is that the contents of a Crafter is shared, so multiple players changing it at once will show up for all players. The Crafter is the only Minecraft 1.21 feature in this version, but there are other ones as well, so we're not done yet. Before we move on though, these videos do take a lot of work to make, so if you could take one moment to press the like button, that would really help me out. Thank you. In other gameplay news, decorated pots can now also be found on the redstone tab in the creative inventory. Fireworks rockets are now counted as impact projectiles, which means they can now break chorus flowers and decorated pots. There are 3 new game rules in this version. Let's start with projectiles can break blocks, which controls whether chorus flowers and decorated pots can be broken by impact projectiles like arrows, and whether pointed dripstone can be broken by tridents. The other 2 new game rules are closely related: Player Nether Portal Default Delay and Player Nether Portal Creative Delay. They control the time it takes in a number of ticks to pass through a nether portal for players in creative mode for the creative rule, and for players in survival or adventure mode for the default rule. In options news, a new accessibility option has been added for disabling the splash text on the main menu screen. A number of user interface related problems have been fixed, including a host of punctuation and grammar fixes in the realms menus. The Buy a Realm button no longer gets automatically selected when opening the Add Realm interface, and the You Don't Have a Realm element can now be selected using the mouse cursor. The slots for realms no longer have a few extra pixels showing on the left side. In the single player menu, the scroll bar now resets its position properly when searching for a world name, and the sound for clicking on the I know what I'm doing button when opening a world is now the appropriate volume. Speaking of sounds, the subtitle for breaking a decorated pot now correctly specifies the type of pot, and there are new sounds for a crafter crafting. and for it failing to craft. In stability news, there's a new screen for handling corrupted level files. This gives you the option to restore a backup and a quick link to the bug tracker for reporting a bug about it. The game is now also less likely to crash when trying to open such files. When being kicked while logging into a server, you'll now get a proper error message, and having player heads in a world no longer causes error messages to be printed through the game's log file. This version also has a bunch of technical changes, updating the datapack version to 21 for command fixes, new possibilities for TNT, and new jigsaw tech, which I'll have a separate video out about shortly. The resource pack version is also now 19 to account for the added assets for the crafter. And that's all for this snapshot. Thank you for watching, my name is Sly Slime, and I'll see you next time.